Okay, so as a parent, you've got a million things to worry about, right? But there's one that's hiding in plain sight. It's in our schools, maybe even in our homes. We're talking about the youth vaping epidemic. The headlines can be pretty scary, and honestly, the information out there is just confusing. It's hard to know what's real. So today, let's just cut through all that noise together and really figure this out. I want to start with a number, just to show you the sheer scale of what we're dealing with. 3.6 million. According to data from 2020, that's how many kids, middle and high schoolers in the United States, were using e-cigarettes. Think about that. This isn't some small fringe issue, it's a massive public health crisis. And when you break that number down, it gets even more real. We're talking about 1 in every 5 high school students. 1 in 5. So picture a typical classroom. Yeah, that means around 5 of those kids could be vaping. And it's starting younger and younger. 1 in 20 middle schoolers are already using these things. And look, this isn't some new fad that just popped up last year. The data is clear. E-cigarettes have been the most popular tobacco product among young people since all the way back in 2014. It's been fueled by super aggressive marketing and these slick, appealing designs, and it's been growing right under our noses for years. So just to make sure we're all on the same page here, what are we actually talking about? Well, e-cigarettes, or vapes, are pretty simple. They're just battery-powered devices that heat up a liquid. And that liquid usually has nicotine, flavorings, and a bunch of other chemicals in it. It gets turned into a cloud that the user inhales. Sounds simple, right? But what's actually in that cloud is where things get complicated. Now, this is probably the biggest myth out there about vaping, that it's just harmless water vapor. I'm sure you've heard that. But I'm here to tell you that could not be further from the truth. Let's really pull back the curtain and see what's actually inside that cloud. So here's the word you need to know: aerosol. What comes out of a vape isn't vapor. It's an aerosol. And that's not just semantics, it's a huge difference. See, a vapor is just a gas, but an aerosol is a mist of tiny, solid and liquid particles that can get lodged deep, deep inside your lungs. So what kind of particles are we talking about here? Well, you've got nicotine, obviously, but then there are cancer-causing chemicals. There are volatile organic compounds, the kind of stuff you'd find in paint thinner. There are ultrafine particles, flavorings that have been linked to serious lung disease, and even heavy metals. We're talking nickel, tin, and lead. Yeah, lead. This is not harmless. And all of this leads us right to the heart of the problem, especially for kids: the nicotine trap. You have to understand, these products aren't just addictive by accident. They're literally engineered to be incredibly good at delivering nicotine and getting our kids hooked as fast as possible. Just listen to this staggering fact from the CDC. A single JUUL pod, and for years that was the most popular brand, a single one of those little pods can have as much nicotine as an entire pack of 20 cigarettes. Let that sink in for a second. One tiny pod is like a pack-a-day habit. And here's the really sneaky part. It's not just the amount of nicotine, it's how it gets into their system. They use something called nicotine salts. The best way to think about it is like this. Traditional nicotine is harsh, right? It makes you cough. But nicotine salts are different. They've chemically altered it so it goes down smooth, letting a brand new user inhale that massive pack of cigarettes worth of nicotine without that harsh feeling that would normally tell them to stop. So why is this so incredibly dangerous for young people? Well, because the human brain is literally still under construction until around age 25. And when you expose that developing brain to these huge doses of nicotine, you can permanently harm the parts that control learning, memory, and attention. The damage done during these teenage years can last a lifetime. And the risks just keep stacking up. We know that young people who vape are way more likely to move on to smoking regular cigarettes later. And maybe even more disturbing, getting addicted to nicotine early can actually prime the brain's reward system, which increases the risk for future addiction to other, harder drugs. So what we have is this incredibly addictive substance that is particularly harmful to kids. And what makes it a perfect storm is how cleverly the whole thing is disguised. This is the secret life of modern vapes. They're designed to be hidden in plain sight. The first line of attack is flavor. I mean, we're talking thousands of kid-friendly options: mango, fruit punch, creme brulee. This was no accident. It was a strategy, plain and simple, to mask the harsh taste of tobacco and make these things seem like a harmless sweet treat. But it goes way beyond just the flavors. So I have to ask you a question. If you saw one right now, would you even know what you were looking at? Because honestly, modern vapes can look like almost anything. Yeah, some still look like cigarettes, but the most popular ones are designed to look like USB flash drives, pens, highlighters, everyday school supplies. They are literally engineered for stealth. That JUUL device, for example, is so tiny and discreet that students are known to use it right in the middle of a classroom or in a school bathroom, and nobody even notices. This isn't just a risk, it's a risk that is incredibly easy for them to hide. Okay, I know hearing all of this is alarming. It's really serious, it's hidden, and it's designed to be addictive. But, and this is a really important but, the story does not end with us feeling helpless. As parents, we have a huge role to play here, and there are very real steps we can take. So let's talk about what we can actually do. Here's a simple 3-step action plan you can start today. First, learn. Understand what these devices actually look like and know the real risks. You're already taking that first step just by listening to this. Second, talk. Have an open, honest, non-judgmental conversation with your kids about the dangers. And third, set an example. Being tobacco-free yourself sends an incredibly powerful message. And I really want to leave you with this message of encouragement. It comes straight from the CDC. It says it's never too late. It doesn't matter if your child is in middle school or about to graduate. Starting this conversation right now can make a world of difference. The science is clear. The risks are very real, but the tools to fight back are in your hands. This conversation about vaping absolutely needs to happen in every single home. It starts now. So the only question left is, are you ready?